What if the perfect planet wasn't a gift, but a test? A world so beautiful, it seemed like paradise, yet behind its calm skies and gentle breeze, something ancient was watching waiting. When a team of humans accepts a galactic challenge to survive one full year on Eden 7, they discover that true evolution doesn't happen in safety, it happens in struggle. Their journey will challenge everything you believe about survival, adaptation, and what it means to be human. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and show some love with a thumbs up by liking the video. Now, let's jump into the story. The skies above the outer colony station shimmered with violet light as the ship Valiant Reach prepared to depart. Commander Lena Rhodes stood quietly by the observation window, her eyes fixed on the vast darkness of space. She wasn't nervous. Exactly, Lena didn't do nerves, but there was a weight in her chest. Eden 7. The name sounded too perfect, like something pulled from an old fantasy novel. A paradise planet discovered in a remote star system, untouched and unexplored except for the probes that showed perfect conditions. But she had learned to be suspicious of anything that looked too easy. The mission had been proposed by the Intergalactic Peace Forum, a challenge more than an invitation. Humanity, they said, was impressive, but still too wild, too unpredictable. Earth's environment had forged tough survivors, no doubt, but could humans thrive on a world that wasn't trying to kill them? A challenge: survive one standard year. On Eden 7, no assistance. No special gear beyond basic survival tools. If they succeeded, Earth would be reclassified no longer a chaotic death world, but a planet that bred true adaptive specialists. Lena took the challenge personally. Her team was already on board and ready. Dr. Elias Ford, the biologist, was pacing the lab, muttering about false data and suspicious readings. He didn't trust Eden 7's profile too clean, too safe. Renzo Halle, the ship's engineer, had rigged extra shielding just in case, though the planet's scans showed nothing dangerous. Amira Vale, the medical officer, had packed equipment to monitor every possible bodily change. And Nolan Red, the youngest of the group, was double-checking their weapons, just in case. He said with a half-smile that didn't quite hide his concern. As the Valiant Reach jumped into light speed, the mood shifted. Everyone pretended to relax, but even the silence held tension. They all knew what this mission really was. It wasn't about studying a new planet. It was about proving something to the galaxy, and maybe to themselves. The first sight of Eden 7 was stunning. A glowing world wrapped in blue oceans and thick swirls of white clouds, with land masses carpeted in soft greens and silver-gray forests. From orbit, it looked like a painting. No storms, no visible threats, no massive predators in the scan logs. The team exchanged glances. It was beautiful, but that's what made it scary. They touched down in a wide valley surrounded by low hills and tall, flower-topped trees that swayed in a gentle breeze. The air was warm, fresh, and had a faint scent like honey. Birds, if they were birds, sang in high, rhythmic notes. The ground felt soft under their boots. Nolan leaned down and scooped up a handful of soil. "Feels like earth dirt," he muttered. "Only ... cleaner." Lena stepped forward, scanning the area. No movement. No signs of danger. Too quiet. Elias joined her, his scanner already working overtime. The plants have high sugar levels. No toxins. No natural defenses. No thorns, no camouflage. No chemical markers. It's like they don't expect anything to eat them. He looked uneasy. That's not natural. Every ecosystem evolves with some competition. Amira stood by a stream that ran past their camp, watching tiny fish swim in clear water. "This place is incredible." I haven't seen life like this outside of simulations. Even the bacteria seem harmless. Renzo finished setting up there solar arrays and stepped back to wipe his brow. Power systems holding. No interference, no fluctuations. Even the sun here is steady. One setting, no flare activity. That evening, they gathered for their first meal, using earth rations despite the abundance of local fruit. Lena insisted on caution. We sample everything. We test everything. No one eats anything unless Elias and Amira both sign off. The team agreed, though Nolan eyed a plump purple fruit like it was a gift from heaven. Night fell slowly, and the valley shifted into hues of violet and soft gold. The sky was filled with twin moons, and stars burned brighter here than back home. As the others settled into their habitat, Lena stayed up, watching the quiet hills beyond their base. Her gut told her something was off. Not dangerous, just wrong. Like a room that was too clean, too staged. It reminded her of Earth Zoo's designed environments to keep things calm, not real ecosystems. Elias sat beside her, eyes on his tablet. You're thinking the same thing I am, he said quietly. It's too perfect, Lena nodded. The council expects us to fail. They think we can't survive without danger, that we need chaos to grow. Maybe this planet is their way of proving that. Elias looked up. Or maybe it's a test. Just not the one we think it is. In the distance, a faint breeze rustled the trees. A soft, melodic sound followed it almost like a whisper, or a hum. Lena stood, her hand instinctively, reaching for her communicator, but nothing moved. The night was still, peaceful. They had come expecting danger. But perhaps the real threat was something else entirely. Comfort, ease, and a world so perfect that it made them question what being human really meant. And as Lena returned to the habitat, the stars watched in silence, and Eden 7 waited quiet. Beautiful and completely unknowable ... by the end of the first week. The crew of the Valiant Reach had fallen into a steady rhythm. Every morning, Commander Lena Rhodes led the team through their check-ins, reviewing systems, logging observations, and analyzing the planet's calm environment. The days passed peacefully. No storms, no predators, no breakdowns. Eden 7 was living up to its name. But that, in itself, made the crew more cautious than relaxed. Dr. Elias Ford spent most of his time studying local plants. They grew quickly and responded well to sunlight. These fruits are cleaner than anything on Earth, he told Amira Vale as she examined his data. High in sugar, protein, and vitamins. They're not just edible, they're beneficial. Still, Lena enforced a strict policy. Earth rations only, until everything passed multiple tests. It wasn't long before Amira noticed something strange. Everyone was sleeping better. Their heart rates were lower. Skin irritation from the new environment disappeared faster than expected. Minor aches vanished overnight. When she ran health scans, the results shocked her. Your lungs are working at higher efficiency, she told Renzo Hala one morning. More oxygen is being absorbed per breath. I've seen this in high altitude training back home, but not this fast. Renzo raised an eyebrow. You think the air's doing that? Maybe the air, maybe the food, maybe the planet, Amira replied. Or all of it together, but it's real. Nolan Red, the young security officer, reported seeing movement near the stream one night. Not a threat, he clarified. Just something watching from the trees. It never came closer. They checked the security footage. It showed nothing, just the same waving plants and soft lights. Still, it left everyone uneasy. Things here were too quiet, too willing. Elias expressed what they were all thinking. This world doesn't act like a natural ecosystem. It behaves more like ... a host. As the second week began, The team slowly started integrating local food into their meals. The first fruit they tried, a round, purple orb that smelled like blueberries, was packed with nutrients. After eating it, everyone reported feeling more energetic, clear-headed, focused. Nolan said it gave him dreams that felt more real than life itself. That same night, the sky above their valley changed. A low ripple of blue and green light shimmered across the stars in aurora that wasn't there before. The air felt charged, like static before a lightning strike, but no storm came. The next morning, the lakes near their camp had begun to glow. A faint blue bioluminescence pulsed just beneath the surface. Elias studied the water under a microscope. "These microorganisms," he whispered, "are not random. They move in patterns. Structured ones, like a signal." "You're saying they communicate?" Lena asked. "Maybe, or maybe they're responding to us." Over the following days, the team's physical changes became impossible to ignore. Amira confirmed increased lung capacity, better digestion, and even faster reflexes. Their skin was adapting to thicker in certain areas, more resilient. Yet no one felt sick. No fevers, no side effects. Only improvements. "It's like this place is improving us," Nolan joked one evening, biting into another piece of Eden 7 fruit. "No," Elias said quietly. "It's preparing us." That night, Lena had her first dream. She stood in the glowing lake, completely submerged, but could breathe like normal. She moved effortlessly underwater, her body lighter and stronger. When she woke up, her heart was calm. Her mind was clear. The others had similar dreams, flying, transforming, speaking in strange languages they somehow understood. Renzo adjusted the sensors around the base. "I'm picking up slight shifts in atmospheric pressure," he told Lina. "Small increases. Steady. Nothing dangerous yet." "Is it weather?" she asked. "Possibly," he replied. "But the pressure's rising without the usual signs. No heat spike, no storm clouds. It's like the air itself is slowly thickening." Elias was more concerned about the plants. "They're growing faster now. Not just taller, but more responsive. I touched one yesterday, and the leaves turned toward my hand. They're aware." "We should send this data to the council," Lena said. "We should," Elias agreed, "but we should be careful with what we say. They might pull us out before we understand what's really happening." By the end of the second week, something else had shifted, something they couldn't measure with instruments. The planet felt more alive. The wind carried sounds that didn't seem natural. Shadows moved without cause. The local creatures, once curious, now stayed hidden. It was as if Eden 7 had started watching more carefully. During their next group meeting, Amira laid it out plainly. "We're not just surviving here. We're evolving." Lena looked around at her crew. Their faces were leaner, their eyes sharper, their movements more controlled. They weren't scared anymore, just focused. "We came here to prove ourselves," she said, her voice calm. "Maybe the planet is doing the same, testing whether it should let us stay." Everyone nodded, no one suggested leaving. Outside the camp, the sky was shifting again, colors dancing overhead, like signals from something ancient and vast. And though they didn't say it out loud, every crew member could feel it in their bones. Eden 7 wasn't just a paradise, it was a mirror. And it had just started reflecting them back. The third week on Eden 7 began with silence. Not the peaceful kind they had grown used to, but a heavier, more alert silence. The usual gentle rustle of wind through the trees and the soft hum of glowing insects had stopped. The valley felt like it was holding its breath. Commander Lena Rhodes noticed it first. She stood at the edge of the stream, listening, her hand resting on her hip near the communicator clipped to her belt. Something had shifted, not in the atmosphere or the readings, but in the feeling of the place. It was no longer just watching. Them it was waiting. Dr. Elias Ford was already in the lab, comparing water samples from the first week with the current ones. Under the microscope, the glowing microbes now moved in clear geometric patterns, hexagons, spirals, repeating loops. This isn't just communication, he murmured to himself. It's instruction. Amira Vale had her own concerns. Crew's latest health scans showed changes that couldn't be explained by diet or natural adaptation alone. Nolan's muscle mass had increased without added physical training. Renzo's vision had adjusted to detect low infrared light. Lena's reflexes were now testing beyond human norms. Even Amira herself had developed a resistance to mild poisons that should have made her ill. It's like the planet is fine-tuning us, she told Elias. Not hurting us, just upgrading us. Renzo Hawley had been exploring further out. From camp, when he found the first piece of foreign equipment. Half buried in soil near a cluster of red-leafed plants, it looked like an old scanning device, but not human-made. He brought it back carefully and placed it on the table inside the lab. Somebody else was here before us, he said as everyone gathered around. And they didn't tell the council. The device was scorched and cracked, but Elias managed to recover part of a log. The recordings were jumbled, distorted voices, flashes of unfamiliar faces, short words in broken galactic common. Retreat failed? Adapting too fast, environment alive. Later that day, Nolan returned from a patrol around the perimeter. He had spotted something watching from the tree line again, but this time it wasn't hiding. It had eyes, many of them set, in a smooth, rounded head with a body that moved on 6 legs in perfect silence. It made no sound, didn't approach, and didn't retreat when seen. It was studying me, he said. It wasn't afraid. It wasn't aggressive. It just watched. Lena made the decision to double their defenses, but quietly. No panic, no aggressive moves, just more awareness. If Eden 7 was learning, then they had to show they could learn too. That night, the crew gathered for dinner, surrounded by a growing camp lit by soft lamps and the glow of bioluminescent plants. Elias broke the silence. I think we've been looking at this wrong, he said. Eden 7 isn't a planet like others. It's not just a location. It's a system, maybe even a living network. We're part of a test, Renzo frowned. What kind of test? A survival test, a compatibility test. Every change it's made to us has a purpose. It's not trying to destroy us. It's checking if we can belong here. Amira nodded, which means other species were tested too. They didn't pass. Lena looked out at the trees. But we might. The following morning, the weather shifted again. A windstorm swept through the valley, stronger than anything they had experienced so far. Trees bent low, their leaves shredded by the wind. Lightning flashed above in unnatural patterns, jagged lines that twisted and curved, almost like writing. The shelter held, thanks to Renzo's adjustments using a mix of earth tech and local materials. But when the storm passed, the landscape had changed again. The river had moved. New hills had risen. And more importantly, a small clearing near camp now revealed wreckage remains of alien equipment. Torn clothing, broken tools, all half melted into the soil. Nolan picked up what looked like a communication disc. Its surface was warped and corroded, but he held it like it might still speak. They never made it out, he said quietly. Elias knelt by one of the tools, brushing away dirt. 7 species at least, maybe more. All failed. Maybe because they came from stable, easy worlds, places that didn't challenge them to grow the way Earth did. That evening, the crew met again inside the main habitat. The changes to their bodies, the dreams, the communication with the ecosystem, it all pointed to one thing. Eden 7 was alive in its own way. and it was trying to connect. AMIR shared new medical data. Our cells are integrating compounds from the lake water now. Naturally, they're improving us, not mutating us. Controlled, predictable evolution. Like the planet has seen what works and is guiding it. Lena stood slowly and looked at her team. We were sent here to survive 1 year and prove Earth isn't just a wild death world. But this has gone beyond that. We're part of something bigger now. We're becoming part of this planet, and it's becoming part of us. Elias added, we're not just being observed anymore. We're being understood, and maybe even accepted. Outside, the glowing sky pulsed gently, and something in the trees watched without moving. Eden 7 had seen the failure of others. But now, it was facing something new, a team of humans who had learned to thrive in chaos. Not because they were perfect, but because they were built to change. The planet had looked in the mirror, and for the first time, it didn't see a visitor. It saw a match. 3 months had passed since the Valiant Reach landed on Eden 7, and the world they had first known as paradise now looked nothing like the one from the maps. The gentle valleys had hardened, forests had thickened into wild tangles of glowing vines, and the skies rarely stayed one color for more than an hour. But the human crew hadn't just endured the changes, they had evolved with them. The team no longer looked or moved like the people who had stepped off the shuttle weeks ago. Their bodies were stronger, quicker, leaner. Their minds worked faster, and their instincts were sharper. They weren't merely surviving Eden 7. They were part of it now. Commander Lena Rhodes stood at the edge of a ridge, overlooking their newly built shelter. It wasn't the sleek, prefabricated structure they'd started with. That had been dismantled after a storm shattered it during the second month. In its place stood something more grounded, made from stone, woven plant fibers, and hardened sap materials. They had learned to use from the planet itself. It wasn't fancy, but it was nearly indestructible. Their new home had grown from the planet's own lessons. Down below, Renzo Hale adjusted solar collectors he'd modified to store energy from Eden 7's strange light waves. He no longer needed gloves to handle live wires. His skin had changed to resist heat and friction. He worked silently, efficiently, his movements automatic but focused. Near the garden, Amira Vale harvested thick-stemmed fruits that pulsed faintly with inner light. She sliced one open and handed a sample to Nolan. Red, who bit into it without hesitation. Their diets were now completely local. The Earth rations had long been sealed away, untouched for weeks. Elias Ford had spent the last few days deep in study. He was analyzing one of the more advanced forms of life that had appeared in recent weeks. Creatures that walked upright on 6 legs and communicated in sharp, patterned clicks. They didn't attack. They didn't run. Instead, they mirrored human behavior, almost like students learning from teachers. Elias recorded everything. They're not predators, he told Lena during their morning briefing. They're responding to us, learning like the planet does. The skies above them remained unpredictable. Storms came fast and wild, with thunder that hummed like machinery and rain that tasted metallic. But the crew didn't hide anymore. Their skin neutralized acidic rain. Their balance adjusted easily to sudden shifts in wind. The planet had forced them to change, and change had become their normal. When a massive storm rolled through one night, tearing trees from the ground and crackling with unnatural lightning, the crew stood calmly in their reinforced shelter. Watching, the lights outside danced in strange patterns like a message, or maybe just the planet dreaming. When it passed, the team found new rock formations, fresh mineral beds, and more alien ruins. These remains were from older mission species that had tried and failed. Half-melted tools, shredded suits, strange containers that had fused with the soil. None had lasted as long as the humans. None had built. None had adapted. 2 days later, their long-range scanner picked up a signal one they'd been waiting for. The Galactic Forum's delegation ship was on approach. Lena gathered the team by the camp's edge as the sleek silver vessel descended through the strange clouds, landing gently near the base. A group of aliens stepped out, wearing protective suits and unsure expressions. At the front stood a thin, tall official with narrow eyes and pale scales. His name was Dravik, a senior advisor from the council. When he stepped closer and saw the human skinned, clear-eyed, standing calmly without suits, he paused. "You've changed," he said, his voice nearly lost in the wind. Lena nodded. "So has the planet." The council representatives spent several days touring the human settlement, speaking with each crew member, studying the new wildlife, and examining the medical data Amira had recorded. They were shocked to learn the team had not only survived Eden 7's full transformation cycle, but had integrated with it. Elias explained their discoveries in simple terms. The planet moved through a natural cycle. It started as paradise to attract visitors, then gradually transformed into a world of extreme conditions, a test. Not to kill, but to see who could adapt. The council asked why the humans had stayed through it. Lena answered simply, "Because Earth taught us to. We come from a place where everything changes all the time, weather, disease, disasters, conflict. We learned to evolve with it. We didn't resist Eden 7's changes, we accepted them." Dravik looked at the humans for a long time before finally responding. "No other species has made it this far. The planet has taken them all. You are the first." On the last morning, before the crew was scheduled to leave, Lena stood again on the ridge, staring at the glowing forest below. The trees had softened. The skies were calmer. The cycle was ending, returning the world to something close to its first form. She felt proud, but also something else lost. This world, for all its danger and difficulty, had become a part of them. Elias joined her, hands behind his back. "They're going to change Earth's classification," he said. "Not just from a death world to a high survival world, but to a Genesis world, a birthplace for adaptive life." Lena didn't reply right away. Instead, she looked up at the young twin suns rising above the horizon. "They thought this was a test for us," she said quietly. "But maybe it was a test for Eden 7 too." As the team boarded the ship that would take them back, the ground beneath them shifted gently, almost like a breath. Plants swayed as if waving goodbye. And in the distance, one of the six-legged creatures stood still, watching. It didn't follow. It just observed. The humans left behind no flag, no monument, only footprints, and a world forever changed by their presence. And as the ship lifted off, Eden 7 returned to its stillness, waiting once again. Not for invaders, not for guests, but perhaps for partners.